Hey, this is Sam from Anagnosis.
This is Missy Avila from Your Chance to Die.
I'm Corey Hoffing from Crimson Shadows.
This is Morgan Weller from Lestravi.
Hey, this is Paul Mazurkowitz, the drummer from Cannibal Corpse, and you are listening to The Great Metal Debate.
Hey, Great Metal Debate fans. This is Brian here, and I am in Nashville at the Exit Inn. I'm talking to Trevor from Obituary. Trevor, welcome.
How's it going, man? Thank you.
It's going good. Why don't you introduce yourself, Trevor, tell what you do, and just kind of talk, kind of give me a brief history of the band for somebody who's been under a rock since '84.
Okay, well, I play guitar in the band. My name's Trevor. Donald and John and myself started the band like back in '84, actually. We were called Executioner at first. And we did a couple demos, and then we got signed by Roadrunner in '88. And part of the deal was to change our name because it was actually a thrash band.
Right.
Or I don't know what they were sounding like. They were a band from Boston that were called Executioner as well.
Yeah.
We didn't even know about them, but they didn't want anybody to confuse us with them or vice versa.
Sure, yeah.
So we changed our name to Obituary and put out our first record in '89 called Slowly to Rot. So, and whatever, here we are.
And here you are,
400 years later, still doing it.
40 years of just like playing, you know, with a small break in between.
Yeah, here and there, a couple breaks.
And so, you know, I ask all the guys and folks that I interview this question. When you were young, you were listening to your own metal and rock and roll. Was there this moment like where you were like, holy shit, this is what I want to do. I can do this for a living. I want to live this life. A band, a video, a song.
Probably, it's hard to pinpoint it, but I think the one time I went and saw the band Nasty Savage in Tampa.
Yeah.
They were from Brandon. They're actually one of the guitar players lived in our neighborhood, but I went and saw them play at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time where I was like, this is sick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'd already seen some concerts before at that point, you know, like Iron Maiden and whoever. But
some of the bigger names?
Yeah, Dio and all. But when I saw them, a local show, and how, because it was more intense metal at that point,
right?
I was like, man, this is fucking badass, and this is what would be nice to do. And I mean, the whole thing of making a living of it was never thought of. It was just like, I want to play metal in a band and make a band. I remember I think I was in 8th grade or 9th.
Yeah.
And I said, I think it was 9th grade. I was like, that's it. I'm not cutting my hair ever again, and I'm going to start a band. Yeah. And I did. That's when it started. Like that summer, or the next year, actually.
And so that was Obituary right there at that moment. Yeah, you didn't know it yet. But.
Yeah, exactly. Like over that summer, it was the next. Well, I was in 10th grade, and Donald actually, buddy of ours, Scott Johnson. Actually, Scott Johnson, Donald, and me started jamming together originally, and then it culminated into what we are eventually.
Right, and now of course the Florida, South Florida metal scene was huge in the development of the genre. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, to me, really, we were all kind of just doing, all like Chuck from Death, the dudes from Deicide, and Malevolent Creation, those bands. We were all listening to the same records, I think. We were all listening to like Slayer, Hellhammer, Possessed, and Maiden and Judas Priest and all that. And so I think, like a lot of people say that Florida's kind of started death metal. To me, I think Celtic Frost or Hellhammer's really the beginning of death metal to me. So we were kind of almost a second generation of it to me. Yeah. But it was so underground at that point, nobody even knew about it. You know what I mean? Gotcha. I mean, literally, like Obituary did a cover of Circle the Tyrants on our second album. And I met Tom Warrior after this many times, and one of the last times I talked to him, he was like, "You wouldn't believe what you did for my career by doing that song," because they weren't really doing much, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it changed things for him,
Well, dude, that's gotta feel not heady, but I mean, it's got to be fun to know that you influence people like that.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Let me just kind of start with some obligatory now. How's the tour? I guess you could call it a tour. It's sort of an 11-day jaunt.
Yeah, it's just a short little run of B market, smaller markets. Other than Nashville's, actually, I don't know why this isn't really a smaller market, but no, it's great. I mean, this is our 4th show. We played last night. We played in Alabama, which was the first time we ever played in Alabama.
Right.
Which is totally killer. It was packed. Kids were manic.
Nice.
And we played Memphis one time before, like in 1990. So we played there again finally. That was pretty cool.
Cool.
But no, it's great.
What's it called? The East Coast Redneck.
It's the East Coast Redneck Run.
Right. So now the second must ask. And I think we kind of know this, but let's just make it official. Who were your influences, and not just as a band, but like personally, you with the band and the instrument? Who did you look up to?
Well, guitar players wise, I love like Randy Rhoads from metal is probably one of my favorite.
Sure.
And Richie Blackmore, amazing, Jimi Hendrix, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Guitar wise, and just music in general. I mean, like Ronnie James Dio was one of my heroes, big time. I mean, love everything he did. Amazing artist.
Yeah, that's pretty safe love of that music right there, for sure. I mean, well, let me ask you this: there's a lot of there's 5 million different genres these days, and I don't find it important to name your music, that kind of thing.
Right.
My co-host, Gomthog, I mean, he's kind of a dick about it sometimes, but he loves, that's what he does. You think that's important, or?
What, to label?
Yeah, to label. Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, because like, whatever people call us death metal or whatever,
right?
And whatever, that's what we are, I guess. But I mean, at the same time, we're a rock and roll band. We're a rock band. You know what I mean? Like, like the way we perform on stage and our attitude on stage and how we don't. And we're almost a punk band too, because like I have a half stack, small rig. I don't bring fucking 12 cabinets.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I wear black shorts on stage or camouflage shorts. I don't wear leather and spikes and you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And we're up there, we're having a good time. We drink whiskey and drink beer and smoke weed and we're playing metal. Well, I guess it's rock. It's like rock.
You kids in your rock and roll, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So like, now let's go a little sideways. I mean, your lyrical content has a specific tone to it, attitude, a pattern, if you will. In today's sort of like Clockwork Orange society, ultra violence, I mean, kids, do you find that your audiences are more intense than they used to be?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, I think it's about the same. And what's funny is like the irony behind that all, because years ago especially, people look at metal and they see the people slam dancing and stage diving, and they're like, these people are violent, people get in fights. The funny thing is there's never fights at the shows.
Exactly.
Most of the people who go to our shows, I mean, everybody's a little quirky, no matter where you go, not even metal. But most of the people are well-rounded people. I mean, that come to metal shows.
Intelligent, caring headbangers.
They go home and they're smiling because they just went and saw metal and they're happy. They don't. You go to a rap show, there's more violence than that.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big time. So it's so. If the irony behind it is because our music sounds violent and it is kind of violent and the crowds get crazy, but everybody's like really just nice, normal, easygoing people at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Now you guys did a tour at the first part of the year. Is that correct?
With Creator.
Right, with Creator. And so I heard in an interview that you guys were seeing younger fans in the audience. And, I mean, I don't want to ask you how do you explain that. I mean, the music is fucking awesome, but like, I mean, do you find the appeal to the younger audience to be just as big as it was when you first started?
Yeah, probably. Well, what I think is happening is because everybody who came to our shows back in the day, they're all parents now, and a lot of those those are their children coming to the shows. You know what I mean? You'll see a 15-year-old kid with his 45-year-old dad who bought my first album. You know what I mean? So they're bringing their kids to the shows.
May have been conceived by some randy people that saw your show one night and had a kid, man. That's awesome.
I can attest to that for sure. I know some people, they said they conceived their child after our concert. For sure, yes.
You inspire sex even.
Absolutely.
That's good music right there.
Sexy time.
That's awesome, man. So now I've heard someone in the band say in an interview that we're not a band. Well, actually, let me back up. Can you talk to me a little bit about the writing process, who's involved, and how that works?
Yeah, mainly like when a song gets started originally from this get-go.
Right.
I'll come up with a guitar riff idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll be at the studio with Donald, our drummer, and I'll go check this out. Or sometimes we're there already rehearsing, and I'll start playing a riff, and goes, "What's that? I don't know. I just made it up." And next thing you know, he starts playing a beat. So we'll feed off that with each other. We have our own Pro Tools rig, and everything's always mic'd. So at this point nowadays, like the second we come up with something, like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," so we'll go hit record, so we don't forget it. Right. We might not even come back to it for a year, or maybe that week. Right. It's according to what mindset we're in. Is if we're getting ready for a tour, we're probably not going to be writing music. Right. But like this new album, last summer, we were like, okay, let's do this shit. And I had a bunch of riffs and stuff like that, like I was just saying, that were recorded from like months and months. Right. We sat down and nitpicked all this shit together and made it into a bunch of songs, you know? So is everybody involved in the process, it sounds like, or just sort of? Well, from the get-go, usually Donald and myself start the music, and then John, he'll be kind of, once we get to a point where me and Donald feels like this is a song musically, we'll record the whole thing for John, and he'll go down and try to come up with lyrical content, and then he may come back and go, "What do you think about trying this part 2 more times so I can sing this part again," or whatever. Right. Or vice versa. Maybe this is too long. Let's get rid of this. Let's make this measure, like instead of having 4, let's do 2 measures of it. So we'll all go back and nitpick the structure together. And does it ever get heated and tense? You know, you're defending your music and. Nah, well, sometimes. I mean, I'm not looking for controversy or shit like that. Not really heated, but there's times where we're like, are you sure we should do? Like there's times where we're like not seeing eye to eye on maybe how many times we should do that, or I need you to do a fucking fast beat, and if Donald wants to do like a double bass halftime or something. So that happens sometimes, and then it always works out in the end, obviously. So, I mean, maybe, I don't know if you can answer this, but like, what's what you would consider to be the best Obituary song that sort of accidentally came together just sitting around in the studio one day? And oh, God, that's hard. It's hard to say. I mean, I would say it's our best, maybe not our best song, or I don't have a favorite of anything, but like on our last album, Inked in Blood, the one before the new one, the song Violence, which we did the cartoon video for, the first one, that song literally we wrote, like I came up with the riffs and we put down the structure. I mean, it was literally wrote that song in about an hour. Nice. And it's a very catchy hook song. It's like literally the whole crowd sings it. It's like the weirdest thing. It's like we wrote that song in like an hour. Excellent. You know what I mean? Excellent. It was, and that's rare. We don't really. Usually, like I said, we'll come up with some riffs, some progressions, and like I said, we might spend a month not even fucking with it, come back, and it might take, who knows, hours to finish it. Sure. But then, that one song was weird. I remember going, damn, we finished that whole song like an hour. It's weird. And John even had his lyrical ideas. He was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do here. Yeah. Well, I've heard someone say that you're not a band that puts a whole lot of pressure on yourself when it comes to writing. I mean, can you? Yeah. What does that mean? I mean, just. We don't force it, you know what I mean? You can't force art, you know what I mean? It just comes out of you or it doesn't, right? You know what I mean? So, we know what we're going to do musically because we know we have our own sound or a thing that we do. So, when it comes time to, like, we really need to get some songs done, we still don't force the issue, you know what I mean? Come down, if I have a blank, I'm like, fuck that shit, let's just get high, drink a beer, and not worry about it, you know what I mean? Come back to it later, Excellent. So. Well, there are like very few bands, since you mentioned art, there are very few bands that can do one thing and do it well and do it good enough to last. AC/DC, kind of Green Day for their genre, Slayer, and you guys seem to have found that niche. I mean, is that something that you consciously think about, or you just kind of vomit it out and there it is? Yeah, it's just what we do. Yeah. It's just, I can't play anything else anyway. I don't know how. I'm not that great of a guitar player, to be honest. I just do what I do, and that's what I'm going to do. And people like it, and we like it too. We have fun with the music that we create. Right. And why fix something that ain't broke, Yeah. So you guys are like, what I would call generational metal. You talked about, the parents, and now the kids are coming to your shows. What is the biggest change that you've noticed since 1984 till now? Well, obviously the industry in general, like the whole selling a product is different. You know what I mean? There's a lot of it's all this digital downloading and streaming, and which is pretty strange. Obviously, there's way more bands today. I mean, thousands upon thousands of bands compared to when we first started jamming together in our garage. You know, the crowds are the same. I mean, the people are just the same as always as far as like metalheads go. You know, that's the same. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's the main thing. Obviously, labels are starting to fade away because of social media and stuff like that. So,
do you like the turn that it's taken towards a more digital, more individual songs versus album release?
No, I don't like it. I mean, for me as me, like our band putting our fucking heart and soul into a whole CD. Yeah. I want someone to buy the CD or a vinyl and take that shit home and smell it and touch it, because that's how I am. I mean, I've bought a lot of stuff like on Google Play, but I'll buy the whole album. You know, like just recently on Amazon, I wanted to get some old Rainbow albums I didn't have on the tour. I was like, oh, if I buy this for, they're like, oh, buy all 3 for $14 and you get a digital download and they'll send you the CD. So I bought, you know, but I like the product in my hand, you know. Sure. Yeah. It's like, and what's great though, right now there's a big, revolution of people buying vinyl. Vinyl, man. Literally, it's like 20% of our sales. Yeah, which is killer.
Fucking expensive these days too, man. I mean, you buy vinyl, it's, but because you're paying for that sound.
Well, and plus a vinyl, the vinyl's because
turntables,
a vinyl too though, like to produce one, like to physically make the product, it costs a lot more today than it did because the demand's so low compared to the 70s. You know,
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? So supply and demand. So it costs a lot to make only so many.
So, thinking back over about 40 years, you know, you guys have been together with this small hiatus in the middle of it. Tell me what sticks, and I know that this is like a huge question, you know, and so we, you know, 30% of your grade is participation, so don't worry about the answer, you know, just like what sticks out as kind of the worst and the best thing that you had happen over those 40 years?
Well, probably the best thing is that we're still here doing it, which is just insane. I mean, this guy, Rich is a buddy of ours. He's from our neighborhood when we were kids. I mean, me and him used to jam together too. He plays drums and like, I mean, from the day, you know, we were like little teenagers smoking weed in the neyborhood. It's just insane that we're still here doing this. I mean, you know, I'll be 50 here in a couple years, and I can't believe I'm. You know, I've been blessed to be able to keep.
Very blessed and lucky and fortunate.
Continue to do this shit. It's amazing. The worst thing, probably that I don't have $8 million in my bank. I mean, really, you know what I mean? Right. People think, oh, you guys gotta be rich. I mean, we live okay. We don't, you know, but it would be nice to have just like financial freedom. Whatever. I'm not going to change what I do to get that though. No, you know what I mean? Yeah. I buy a Powerball ticket sometimes. So, but you know.
So like as an artist, you know, you hear bands a lot of times say, you know, we want to grow as an artist. You know, do you think about shit like that, or does it just not?
No.
Yeah. Nice. Good answer.
we create these paintings, you know, which are our albums, which. That's what we do. Yeah. You know what I mean? We grow every time we make a new one, you know? Because we get older.
Hey.
I got more gray hair now than I did ever. So.
Hey, I'm the oldest dude in the room, so I feel you, brother. Yeah, my hip's out, so.
It's all right.
Fuck you, young kid. So, what is next for Obituary? Well, I mean, it took 4 years to get this last album out because you could take your time with it. Is that right?
No, that was Ink to Blood. That's right. Ink to Blood. Yeah, we did that on purpose. We're not in a hurry. We did a lot of touring. Right. And we took our time writing the album, music for Ink to Blood. Well, obviously the new album, Obituary, self-titled, came out in March. So we're just in the middle of working the touring. So like this summer, we're going to do a bunch of festivals in Europe, like always. And we're working on a tour for the U.S., like a co-headlining with Exodus for like September, October. Yeah. So that should be happening. I don't want to spoil it, but it should. No. You know, we've been talking back and forth. We just toured with them in Europe. Yeah. Before this new album came out, so we all became real good. But we were already buddies anyway. But now we became really tight. And like, we got to do this shit in America. So, and then some other stuff in Europe again. We'll go do like a proper tour in Europe.
I love the fact that your first self-titled album is the 10th one out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a.
It was weird, like. When we were looking at ideas for the title, and we knew what the artwork was going to be, we're like, why don't we just call it Obituary? Look, it's just our logo's the cover, you know what I mean? It was fuck it. And it made sense, you know?
Right. Well, where can fans get music and merchandise for Obituary?
Well, if you go to our website, obituary.cc, we have our own web store there. That we have a buddy in Tampa that he sends all the orders out. We manage the site ourselves and stuff like that.
Right.
Obviously, you can go to Relapse and buy our album as well, or FYE and stuff like that. You know. But we've got all our merch up there too.
Excellent. We'll definitely post that and promote it, that sort of thing. And tell me your first name again, sir. Rich. Well, Trevor and Rich, thank you for being with us today, man. I mean, I can't wait for this show, man. I'm going to try to be up front, and I'm knock the hell out of them little boys headbanging up there. We'll see what we can do. If I break a hip, just take me to the emergency room, man.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. Well, for the Great Metal Debate, this is Brian and Trevor and Rich, and we will see you later, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
As night falls to you.